All right, I think we're good to go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. This is Fall in Love with EMU, our Valentine's Day themed event. And I am Connor. I'm one of the admissions advisor at the university, and I'm joined by three wonderful students. And really what we're planning on doing today is we are going to go through one by one and talk about different things that really helped us fall in love with Eastern and just kind of overall our favorite things on the university's campus. This is by no means an exhaustive list. We're just kind of referencing the 8 things that we're really most excited about in this moment. But because it's not exhaustive, we are probably not going to cover everything that's on your mind right now. And of course, the big elephant in the room is that a lot of us are seniors and we're figuring out where we want to go to school, and we probably have lots of specific questions. And of course, this is a Zoom webinar format. We can't see or hear you. This is no one's first rodeo with the Zoom webinar. We know how this works. Please ask us questions. We are more than happy to go over whatever it is that you are most interested in. If it's not one of the topics that we've talked about during the event today, please send it in the Q&A format, put it in the chat. The Q&A is going to be the easiest one because then we can also type out answers if someone else is talking in that moment. And anything that isn't discussed, we can also kind of go over and do like a little Q&A near the end of the session. So that is going to be the whole structure of the event, kind of a countdown of our 8 favorite things at Eastern right now. But like I said, with us having so many questions about what to do next, especially if you've already made your decision on what college to attend, there's a lot of really important intricacies that come with that. So I do want to spend just a moment right now kind of talking about, if you want to come to Eastern in the fall and you already know that, what does that process look like? So the most important thing that you can do in this moment is registering through the Emu Enrollment Form. You may have completed something called the I Choose E a few months ago, but that's not the enrollment form. What you got to do is when you complete this form, it'll ask for any updated information. So if your address has changed, your email has changed, it will ask you to update your major if you would like to do so. And then you're going to choose a SOAR date. SOAR stands for Student Orientation, Advising, and Registration. It is a very crucial day. It's the day that you actually pick classes. So you're going to register for a SOAR date, and that will be tied directly to the college that your major that you're selecting will be in. So if you're having some reservations about your major right now, that's totally fine. You're allowed to change your major within the form or choose undecided and meet with our College of Arts and Sciences on your SOAR date. Once you've confirmed, or I'll say hit submit on the Emu enrollment form, you will be registered to attend in the fall. So it will get you all ready for Emu Connect, which is like the first few days of coming back onto campus, or I guess coming to campus for the first time for some students. And then it will also give you a link to complete your EMU orientation modules. So we've decided in the last few years that we wanted to start moving some of our orientation online to make those SOAR dates even simpler for our students. So it'll give you some information and they'll all be pretty easily manageable. Each one's going to require different things of you to do, but you can complete them really up until your SOAR date. So, you might have a month or 2 months to complete it, but you want to go ahead and do that EMU enrollment form if you decided that Eastern is where you want to be. And if you have not decided that yet, that is totally okay. It's still just February. You have time to figure this kind of stuff out. Eastern doesn't have a super strict deadline on when you need to say that you're coming to the university, but other schools that you're interested in might. So it's really important that you know what your nearest deadline is and to kind of plan around that. But for those students that are in that situation, that's what we have events like these for, where we can literally get you in a virtual environment where you can chat with, 3 students plus, I'm an alumni as well as someone that, a professional staff member in the admissions office. We can kind of go over any of those tricky questions that you might have. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and transfer it over to the stars of the show. And we'll go in this kind of like square format. So I'm going to say, Trinity, if you want to go ahead and get us started with your introduction, and then Ashley to introduce yourself, and then we'll end with Katie, because Katie is going to present our first topic. So I think that's going to be the format that makes the most sense. Thank you, Ashley, for that message. I will go ahead and make you all co-hosts, and that should allow you to turn your video on. There we go. All right, Trinity, the show is all yours.
Hi, my name is Trinity Flowers. I'm a sophomore here on campus and I'm a marketing intent major in the College of Business. I also am an RA and working for housing and residence life. And I'm happy to, I can't see you all, but I'm happy you're here today.
Hi, my name is Ashley. I am a senior here. I study elementary education. I'm in my last semester. I am student teaching right now. I've worked for admissions for 4 years as one of our tour guides and now as a student coordinator. So I've been quite involved around campus in a lot of different ways. So if you have any questions or anything you want to know about getting involved here at campus, I would love to chat about them.
Hi everyone, my name is Katie. I use she, her pronouns, and I am a senior social work student here at Eastern with a minor in women's and gender studies. Just like Ashley, I've been with the admissions office for 4 years now. I started out as a campus tour guide, I've worked our front desk, I've worked for our phone bank, and now I'm also one of our student coordinators. But I do all of the recruiting and training of new campus tour guides. So if you are interested in becoming a tour guide, let me know. I would love to, thank you. I would love to pass along some information about becoming a tour guide. And you could be one of us one day. But when I'm not working or in classes, I'm pretty involved on campus. I've been in our choirs and a few theater things as well. But yeah, that's a little bit about me. If you have any questions about literally anything, we're all here for you and happy to help in whatever way you need. So just let us know. But to get started with one of my favorite things that I love about Eastern is the community. Now, as I mentioned, I'm pretty involved here. I've been in all sorts of different organizations and things on campus. And one thing that has just proven to be true throughout my 4 years here is that the community at Eastern is so rich, so accepting of all different types of students. And it is truly so easy to make friends. Like Connor was talking about at an orientation event is where I actually met my roommates that I still live with. We lived in a residence hall freshman year and we still live together. And they're my best friends. We already decided we're going to be bridesmaids in each other's weddings. So they're my best friends and I love them. And Eastern's community really helped build those friendships. So they're very special to me. And one thing that I think really helps build that community is we have relatively small class sizes. Most of our classes, we have a 17:1 student to faculty ratio. So classes are pretty small. So it's really easy to make friends in classes. Other than my roommates, I've met a lot of my friends in classes, which has been really fun. As I mentioned, I'm a social work student and the social work community is also very tight. So I have a lot of friends that are working in the field right now and have all sorts of job opportunities that they've been passing along. And it's so easy to get involved in student organizations and to make friends in classes and to find your community here. It's one of my favorite things about Eastern. So yeah, that's me, one of my faves.
Yeah, I think you're totally right that classroom environment really does foster community, especially because it's such a collaborative environment inside the classroom as opposed to it being like super competitive. I've been through my fair share of I feel like I'm gonna like date myself, but like group me, like organizations within classes and like hanging out with a bunch of different friends and making new people every single semester, making new friends every single semester is a very exciting time. Trinity, do you want to jump in and talk a little bit about community and how that ties into what you are going to talk about for the next topic?
Yes, so I will talk about living on campus. And actually, living on campus, we have many different communities, or what we call live-in communities. So we have ones for students for LGBTQ community. We have brotherhood and sisterhood community, which caters to minorities in your first year. We have our aviation community. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on and really caters to everybody. Also, one of my favorite things about living on campus is that it's nice to get to your classes every morning and it's nice. There's like a lot of student employment opportunities as well. Like I'm an RA and I also work for the Office of Admissions as well. And you can just it's a great way to be involved as well. You can hang out with like different students every night in the lounges. And like, that's also a really good way to meet new people. There's many different buildings that cater to different needs. Like we have our FYC, which is our first year center, which is where most of our first year students live. We have like Buell. We have an honors college where honor students can live with each other. I mean, the list just goes on and on of like different buildings that cater to different needs. So living on campus is definitely a plus if you can.
Thank you, Trinity. I wanted to spend a little bit of time and talk about just how like beautiful our campus is. It is not, aesthetics aren't everything. It doesn't necessarily need to be your top priority that you're choosing a school that is the prettiest, but it does create for some nice memorable moments, especially like just in terms of like, the architecture and the layout, how walkable it is. It's just so easy to navigate the campus and just kind of appreciate like the natural beauty that exists within it. Eastern's a pretty old school. We're the second oldest public school in the state of Michigan. We've been around since 1849, 173 years. So we've got some age to us, and there are buildings, on our campus from the mid 1800s and what we kind of refer to as like our historic district, which is where, the first 4 or 5 buildings were built around that area. And 4 of them are still standing, and they're connected to our more modern parts of our campus. So when you're kind of craving that very like traditional collegiate feel, you can kind of walk over to our historic district and plan a picnic over there, or kind of cater that around your schedule. Or if you want some of the more modern amenities like, within Sill Hall, or, Mark Jefferson Strong, which is our science complex, or, our student center, all of that new construction that's taken place in the last 10 years. There's a lot of really beautiful sites that come with that. And of course, when you have those kind of modern like amenities, that's, pretty nice as well. But just pure aesthetic value, campus is gorgeous. Being in the student center and like just studying and looking out the window over University Park and looking at the fountains or the people just kind of walking across the bridge or the gazebo, it's just so much fun, honestly.
I love how green campus is. As you can tell, I love plants. My room is filled with them. And Eastern has beautiful nature everywhere. We even have a greenhouse on our campus. That is my go-to study spot. I love going in there in between classes, calling my mom, reading a book, doing homework, anything like that. It's so beautiful. There's so many trees to hammock on if anybody likes to hammock. I know that I do. You can picnic when the weather's nice. Obviously not today, but I love plants, and Eastern is certainly full of beautiful nature to enjoy. And thank you.
Going off of what Katie just said, it is really nice when it's warm outside. Like people hang hammocks on the trees and read. And then also what's really fun during the wintertime is we have lots of hills to like go sledding and stuff. It's really fun.
I was going to say that one of my favorites is just being around the student center, by the beautiful pond, taking lots of different photos out front there. Our student center is like reflective, so it's got all those mirrors, really good photo opportunities. But I've also heard from people that it looks good in all 4 seasons. So you can always take a picture in front of our university pond, and you'll always have that beautiful aesthetic background that you're looking for. But that's one of my favorite parts. And then my next favorite part I'll dive into are the athletics here at Eastern. When I think about Eastern, I picture our student center, and then I also picture myself at our football games. The good thing about students here at Eastern is that you get free admission to all home games. So you can go to the football games, basketball. I've gone to women's soccer, some swimming and diving, gymnastics, volleyball. You get free admission to all their home games, which is awesome. And they typically always give out free stuff too. So who doesn't love free stuff? So I've gotten a bunch of different t-shirts, fanny packs, cool, like, what are those foam fingers at the basketball games. Last week we had a glow night, and they gave like LED lit up sticks that were pretty cool. So definitely it's cool to kind of get out and experience EMU in the spirit way. But also if you're looking to play for our sports, we do have a lot of opportunities for students to get athletically involved. So we have 3 different levels of sports that you could do. So obviously the first one that you probably think of are the varsity level. So that's the one that I was just mentioning, where you go compete for Eastern. A lot of them are recruited. Some of them are walk-ons. It really depends on the team that you're going for. And then our other 2 levels are a little bit less competitive, but we have club and intramural. I actually got to play intramural oozeball, which is mud volleyball. It was absolutely disgusting, but such a fun time. I was completely covered head to toe in mud, but so worth it. I also did intramural basketball, and we totally won and got t-shirts and everything that said we were intramural champions. So definitely a lot of fun if you're looking to kind of play for fun or competitive when it comes to athletics here.
Yeah, that's a phenomenal point. How much fun it is to go to like a college football game or any of our sporting events on campus. And then also like we, historically have done like trips for away games or, the football team has gone to, I want to say 4 bowl games in the last 6 years. Maybe someone needs to check my sports statistics on that one. But to like go to a bowl game is super exciting. It's just a lot of fun to like see people that you go to class with and like, support them on the field, especially like if you have a friend on any of the teams, that makes it, even more exciting.
Now, I don't know about you guys, but I am not a sports kind of gal. As I mentioned earlier, I'm a theater and a choir kind of girl. So while I do go to the sporting events, I have no idea what's happening. I just yell when everybody else does. And I sing the fight song really loud. But I am heavily involved on campus, as I mentioned, just not in the sports. I'll leave that to people like Ashley. That's not for me. But there are many different student organizations to get involved with. There's literally everything you can probably think of. We have like sports organizations, we have a squirrel watching club, we have Active Minds, which is all about mental health. We have so many student organizations to get involved with. And if for some reason we don't have something you're interested in, you can actually create your own student organization. All you need is 3 friends who have the same passion as you and a faculty advisor, and you can create your own organization. I actually created my own with my roommates that I'll keep talking about because I love them so much, but we created an organization called Thrifted Threads that's all about thrifting and sustainability and things like that. So it was a really easy process to create our own student organization, and it was so much fun to get to find other people on campus that love to thrift, but it's also a really great thing to add onto your resume that you started your own student organization. And it's such an easy process, so I highly recommend to take advantage of that. But there are so many fun things to get involved in. One of my favorite stories to tell, my first year, I remember sitting in the student center looking out over the beautiful pond that Ashley was talking about, and I saw people sword fighting, and I was like, what are they doing out there? Like, what's going on here? So I decided to take the long way home, and I walked past them, and they saw me staring, and they were like, hey, we're a medieval sword fighting club on campus. Like, how are you? And I was like, oh my goodness, that's so cool. I didn't know that existed. And apparently they do competitions and stuff. So I talked to them for like 20 minutes about their org. And then they said to me, do you want to try? And I said, yeah, I would like to try. So I learned how to medieval sword fight in my first week of college. And I thought that it was so much fun. I didn't end up joining the student organization, but it was so cool that they were so excited to share their passion with me. And I learned how to sword fight. So that's always something I can add to my resume as well.
I know some of you may be wondering, hearing all these great things about athletics and student orgs, how am I going to fit this onto my schedule between classes? But Eastern has we're very flexible with classes. And also right now, because of COVID, we offer an array of in-person, hybrid, and online classes. So really part of it is up to you when you're scheduling your classes. Like, how many would you like in person? How many would you like online? Me personally, I like to do 2 online and 2 in person because that's just what works for me. But also too, with flexibility, if you have like an IEP or some kind of disability, you can work with our Disability Resource Center, and they'll be able to get you accommodations in the classroom. And your professors, I've never had a professor that wasn't flexible and didn't want to work with me when it came to learning in class, taking tests and things like that. And you can always reach out to somebody and they will be willing to help you.
Excellent. Thank you, Trinity. So real quick, I do just want to say thank you so much for all the questions already. We will be at the end of us going through our favorite aspects. We will dedicate a good 15-20 minutes to answering the questions. So keep putting those in there. And I will also say that I did do a Google search, and I am right. It is 4 bowl games in 6 years since 2016. So just want to make sure I'm not lying to anyone. I want to talk a little bit about the city of Ypsilanti. This is something I feel very passionate about because I really do think this is the greatest place in the world. It is definitely by far my favorite place I've ever lived. And I think that, Katie already talked about how strong the community is on campus, and that extends into the city as well. I mean, first off, just as a student, there's a lot that you have access to. we always reference the food, which is true. I mean, there's a lot of really wonderful restaurants in Ypsilanti. I actually heard a phrase from like, I think it was from like the local tourism site where they said that they have as many highly rated restaurants as the city of Ann Arbor, and Ypsi is like 1/5 the population size. So you have, you know, great variety in terms of like food to go to, in terms of, you know, after a final exam or after studying. But there's also such great natural areas. My favorite place, like my happy place in the world is like North Bay Park, which is this beautiful, like, it's an archipelago. So a series of islands that are on Ford Lake, and it's connected by a bridge system. So it makes this like 1.5 mile loop, and it's a really good run as long as you don't mind like an uphill run on the way back up, or just like really nice spots to picnic or hang out with friends. It's so cool that you get this really great access to cities like Detroit, Ann Arbor, and Ypsi itself, but you also don't really have to make any sacrifices when it comes to like great natural areas. If you're interested in doing an internship, a co-op, a part-time job, there's so many different industries and places that you're going to be able to find work. Because of public transit, you don't even need a car to navigate between Ann Arbor and Ypsilanti. If you do have a car, that opens up Detroit. It's very easy to get to any of these places for those kinds of part-time jobs. And, you know, when I was a student, like I could do an internship in Novi, which is just another town in southeastern Michigan, during my fall semester. And then I could do an internship in Ypsilanti during my spring semester. And then the summer I could do some fancy internship somewhere else. And, you know, students that don't live in, or students that aren't going to colleges and places that have this kind of volume of internships and work experiences can only do those summer internships. And I think it makes a huge difference on a resume when that's just built into where you live. Plus the community is just so wonderful. It's a very historic city. History is very transparent. You can learn so many great things that have happened here. It's just such a wonderful place to live. And I feel like, you know, I loved it when I was a student, and I love it as an adult. It was just so much fun to be here. So.
And that's what mostly makes Eastern one of the most beautiful places, is that it really does extend out into the city. It's not just our beautiful campus. I've definitely spent some time here in Ypsi over the last 4 years, and it makes me want to stay in the area. I don't really plan on moving far away. I'm considering like staying forever and ever at Eastern. I'm picturing coming back for all the football games and getting season tickets every year, just because Ypsi and our campus is such a great place to be. And another part I love about Eastern is that they're always looking to continue improving. So our campus has changed a lot over the years. If any of you have anyone you know out there that are alumni, if your parents went here or someone you know, they will even say that campus has drastically changed since their time here. And the reason for that is because they just want to keep up to date with what students need. So you'll see a lot of different changes and renovations on our campus. Even during my time here, they've changed like 10 different buildings. They redid our entire Rec IM center. They added a new smoothie shop. They recreated the entire College of Engineering and Technology for our students. They built a brand new health center on our campus. I saw someone put a question about mental health and therapy resources. They rebuilt that health center for students to have access to those resources. So all students are able to have 12 free therapy sessions through our office called CAPS, which is Counseling and Psychological Services. And that is there for our students to use at our health center, as well as a bunch of other variety of resources there. But Eastern does all of those things on purpose because they know it's important to students. They know that our campus is changing as new students are coming in. We got to keep up with the times. So I also saw someone mention esports. We actually just added esports area to our Rec IM because we knew a lot of students were interested in that area. So they have like really cool Eastern branded gaming chairs now and big TVs and everything for the team to practice. So they definitely are kind of changing based on what the students want. And that's one of my favorite parts by far about Eastern.
I think it's totally wild that I graduated 3 years ago and there are 3 completely renovated buildings on our campus. Like I left and 3 new things popped up and it like that really does like speak a lot to how quickly things are changing. And, you know, I think that's really good that we're showing so much investment, not just into like, you know, STEM fields, but also like, you know, the rec IM, like you said, Ashley, like things that are focused around students' health, something that impacts everyone. Those are the things that we're kind of prioritizing right now. And you still see renovations are still in the works happening, you know, over the next few years, which is really exciting. All right, we have a lot of questions. I can see them all popping up through the chat and through the Q&A. So we will now kind of transition and just kind of answer your questions. So we've talked about all the things we really wanted to get off our chest today, but now we'll just kind of resort to the Q&A and what's happening in the chat. Lots of good questions about having pets or animals on campus. If you didn't see in the chat, our tour guides have already responded. In order to have a non-fish pet, you would need to have it registered as an emotional support animal. And then let's see, we have, do any of you work in the library? Oh, okay, I love that. That is a very niche job right now. I don't think any of us have experience. I didn't work in the library as a student. I don't know if any of you three have. There are so many on-campus jobs though, whether it's the library, whether it's a department, whether it's being a tour guide, whether it's housing, whether it's dining, a lot of really cool factors that come with that. But yeah, the library definitely does hire students. They work there the entire year. Let's see. I'm gonna jump in through the Q&A, and then for Ashley, Katie, and Trinity, just interrupt me if something pops up in the chat. So we have a question about how would anyone go about applying for the for a student job? Do any of y'all want to talk about your experience applying to student jobs on campus?
Yeah, I can jump in. So I knew that I wanted to get a job on campus, partially because I had to for financial reasons, but also because I wanted to get involved in as many ways as I could. And at the beginning of the year, they actually hosted a job fair in the ballroom. I believe it's been hosted virtually these past few years, but they still do have a job fair. And I applied for all sorts of jobs, and I walked into the admissions office and I did an interview the next day. And then 11 days into going to Eastern, I was a tour guide. And it was a super easy process to get a job on campus, and attending that career fair, that job fair, was so helpful in finding this job. And now that I'm recruiting for students to get jobs on campus, we utilize social media a lot to promote those jobs that we're looking for. So I highly recommend to follow Eastern on Instagram. You can follow Eastern Admissions on Instagram. We're always posting our opportunities and other opportunities on campus too. So if you're on social media, definitely follow as many places as you can. They also do giveaways all the time where you can win free stuff, and everybody loves free stuff. So I highly recommend attend those job fairs, and also get involved on social media is going to be the best way to find a job that works for you. And maybe it's being a tour guide, and I sure hope that it is.
Someone asked about how do you sign up for a work study job? So this is a very kind of interesting nuance here. So work study is something that you receive as part of your financial aid package. So when you complete the Fafsa, it will ask you, do you want to be considered for work study opportunities? You would say yes, and as long as you're eligible for it, you would receive that. When a student is a part of work study, they are receiving a portion of their income from the government. Really what happens is the government pays your job and then you get paid from that. It doesn't change anything about like the paycheck that you receive or how much you're being paid or really anything that would impact you. What it does mean though is that everyone will be willing to hire you because they don't have to pay you as much because part of that is subsidized. So if you are eligible for work study, they will ask you on your application and you just have to say yes. And that's how that works. And from there, it'll be a pretty simple process. If you do not qualify for work study, that's totally fine. You can still work on campus. There's lots of jobs available. Some places only hire work study students, but most places hire both. All right. What is there to do within walking distance off campus that is safe, good for students that are living on campus? So I think we can all kind of talk about some of our favorite things to do. I love this question mostly because my first response is, what is it that you want to do? Because you could kind of do anything. I mean, like that, if we're talking just specifically walkable, I know some of my favorite things to do are to go to the local parks or to go to a museum or to go to a mom and pop shop and look around or something like that, or just hang out at Riverside Park for a little while. But if you have a car or a friend has a car, pretty much whatever you want to. Between Ann Arbor and Ypsilanti, I mean, you can kind of name it and you'd be able to find a way to do it. But for our students that are here, what are some of y'all's favorite things to do that are like walkable?
Me personally, I know we talked about this earlier, I like to eat. And we have a lot of like really good restaurants, like literally right across the street from the campus. I mean, there's Sweetwater's, there's Insomnia. I know the Worst Bar has really good like vegan nachos. So if you're like vegan or plant-based person, there are options. There's a coffee shop, I think it's called Cross Street Coffee. There's a burger place. I mean, there's like any kind of like food you want, you name it. It's like right across the street from the campus.
A few of my favorite things, I love Cross Street Coffee. I actually went there today. It's wonderful. I got an iced vanilla latte. It was so good. But the coffee shops around here are amazing. We're super close to Depot Town, which has a lot of thrift stores and antique stores that I really love. It's a whole lot of fun. And there's all sorts of like things happening in local restaurants. There's like karaoke, there's drag shows, there's all sorts of fun stuff that you can definitely get involved with. And I love live music. A lot of my friends are in bands and things like that. So I'm always going to see local bands play in venues in Ypsi and Ann Arbor. So it's a whole lot of fun to get involved with that too.
I just love having the variety. I honestly can, if I want to go somewhere, I will find a place to go. I even tried a new restaurant this past weekend that I had never been to before, and I thought I've been to all of them. And I also saw a brand new antique shop opened up, and it was named after my hometown in Ohio. So that was kind of exciting because that was here in Ypsilanti, Michigan. Like, who would have thought? But it's definitely a lot of fun to just kind of get off campus for a little while. Whether you have a car or not. I've had semesters where I have had a car. I've had semesters where I didn't have a car. So it really does depend on, who you know, what you want to do, but you will not be bored. You will find things to do if you want to do something. Even if you aren't the type of person that wants to go shopping or eat food, there's tons of events that happen too. I've caught different like festivals downtown. Like there's one about bees, tons of different things that you can get involved with. So just keep an eye out for all of the different things for sure.
We have a question, a very simple one. Are freshmen allowed to have cars on campus? Yes, they absolutely are. So you do have to pay for a parking pass if you're, living on campus and you're bringing your car. Please correct me if I'm wrong. It's $189 per semester, right? Thumbs up. Is that the correct number? No. Okay, yeah, okay, roughly. I can't really tell. Also, everyone's video is slightly blurry, so I don't know if anyone gave me a thumbs up or not, but that's okay. So yeah, you do have to pay for a parking pass, but you're totally allowed to have it on campus. Let's see. Okay, is there somewhere on campus where you can go to get help with getting an internship if you want one? Yeah, absolutely. So there's a few different resources. So I did an internship. I did 2 internships while I was in school. So no, I did 3. I'm sorry. I already said I did 3 earlier as well. So and each one I utilized a different resource to get me there. So I can talk a little bit about that. And then if anyone wants to jump in, feel free. So one, like you can find jobs through like your department. My major required an internship and I applied for the internship through my department head. Like I met with her, she said, these are the few internships. I think that you would be best in this one. I am going to communicate with them that you should be doing this internship. And that is the one I want you to do. Like very cut and dry. And I feel like that's how it normally is if it's required by your major, because the faculty are already going to have set up some kind of internship opportunities from students in years past. And those companies and organizations are probably going to want interns for the next year. So there's already going to be these kind of inbuilt relationships. Another very underrated resource are grad students. I love grad students. And when I was an undergrad, I asked them so many questions about their undergraduate experience. And these are students that went to, totally different colleges for their undergrad and now are getting their master's degree at Eastern. And I would say, hey, I'm really interested in this field. Did you do an internship in undergrad? And they'd be like, I did. And I would be like, great, please tell me every platform that you applied through. Because that allowed me to find some things that are really only specific to my field, like a portal online that you can apply through for internships of a specific type. And that is super helpful. Also, we have the UACDC, which is our University Advising and Career Development Center, and they also manage like a listing of different places that you can work at or do internships. So those are how I found my 3 internships, mostly through faculty by asking a lot of questions to grad students. And honestly, I would just apply and be like, internships if you're interested in working in college admissions or something like that, to that effect. So yeah, anyone want to jump in? Anything that I'm missing?
We also often have internship fairs that you can find opportunities there as well. As I mentioned, I'm a social work student, so an internship is required to get my degree. And I got mine through, they have like specific internship employees that kind of help match you with your field placement. So that's how I got mine. But you can definitely attend the internship fair too.
All right, it looks like our next question is, are students able to volunteer or shadow or work in the on-campus health center for like hands-on experience in their field of study? This is a phenomenal question, and I don't know if I can give a totally encompassing answer. So within the IHA Health Center, which is like the new health center that it's the new health center that we built for our students, that is on like our northern edge of campus. I do know students do shadowing hours there. I think that it's built in through the class. I don't know if it's something that they have to apply for. Do y'all know anything more than that? Okay. From what I've heard is it sounds like that any kind of shadowing or hours that they do specifically on the health center are through like their classes. I don't think it really counts as like an internship or they really take volunteers. I think the faculty guides you through there and you set up like workshop hours in that regard. So I'm sorry, that's not a super specific answer. I wish I could give you a little bit more. We might need to get you in contact with, well, it depends on the program that you're interested in. We might need to get you a coordinator's contact information there. What is the process of being an RA? So 3 of us have been RAs, so lots of information to go around here. Trinity, do you want to get us started with that one?
Yes, I will get us started. So recently, because of COVID, they have switched up the hiring process a little bit. It's very much virtual now. So usually what happens is you have to live for a year on campus, and then January, or I think it actually was December this year, the application opened. So you can submit your application, and from there you would do an interview and a presentation, and they'll give you questions for the presentation on like what you should present. But all of it is on Zoom or a virtual format. So that's basically the hiring process. And then you do have to wait like a month or 2 to get an answer back as to whether you got the job or not. But it's a pretty simple process, and you'll know because they send you so many emails.
One thing I do like to bring up is just sometimes I know that students will, especially like if you're a high school senior and you're kind of planning out how much college is going to cost over the next 4 years. I see a lot of students be like, well, I'll pay for housing my freshman year and then I'll be an RA my sophomore year. Don't jump to conclusions so quickly, only because A, you have to be hired and it can be competitive at times. And B, you might decide that that isn't a job that you want, or, depending on what it entails. I mean, being an RA is a lot of work, and, it covers a wide gamut of skills. So I just encourage students to not just bank on the fact like, oh, I'm going to have housing covered because I know that's part of the RA stipend. So I won't have to worry about living on campus my sophomore year. Don't bank on it. Don't plan around it. if you live on campus your freshman year and you love it and you interact with your RA and you see the work that they're doing and you're interested in it, then apply. Don't get too excited before you even come to campus just yet. So someone just asked in the chat, like, what kind of work does an RA do? RAs do a lot of different things. They run programs. That's one of the things they do that's like most outward. So they plan different events. There can be different expectations for how many events in a semester that they need to do. They might be doing group events where they're planning them with multiple people or just by themselves, different things for, you know, students on their floor or within their building to take part in. They're going to be fostering connections with every student that lives on campus. They have safety protocols that they have to follow. They're mandatory reporters. They do rounds every single day of the building to make sure that everyone is safe. So wide variety. Ashley, Trinity, if you want to add any more into what an RA does in terms of the work.
I can speak a little bit about it. I was an RA 2 years ago, so it's been a minute. But one of the good things about being an RA is that you're there for the students. So every residence hall has those RAs on hand, and there's always pretty much one available, whether they're working the front desk of the residence hall or they're on duty overnight. So they carry like a phone that students can call if they have any problems, or they lock themselves out of their room, which happens a lot. And the RA is their person to help them. So one of my favorite things about being an RA was knowing that I was there for my residents whenever they necessarily needed me. And I had the opportunity to actually be the RA for the football team. So that's why I'm always like, go football and all that. But it was interesting because I also got to see them not just as athletes, but as, you know, young adults and people, and I was in charge of them and got to see and like throw different events for them. I had like different pizza parties and they would come hang out with me. We did like a brunch the day after they won one of their football games. So it's just a great connection opportunity. If you do live in the residence halls, you can definitely get involved by going to your RA events. They're kind of forced to throw these events, but they're also doing it for you. So definitely get out of your shell, go to some of them, bring your roommates, bring your suite mates, bring strangers down the hall. You'll meet so many different people by doing that. So that was kind of one of my favorite parts about being an RA and being on the other end of it as well.
All right, our next question is, how do you become a part of student government? My apologies, because I'm not 100% sure. Are any of you three in student government or have been, like right now, or have been in the past? Nope. Okay, so just me. So I was in student government way back when. How do you become a part of it? So there's like two parts of student government. There's the executive board, and then thank you, Ashley. Then there's the senators. So the Senate and the board. The board is basically chosen by the president and vice president. So you can run in an election to be president or vice president, and then they choose the board among like, just, you know, like how you kind of think of as like what, you know, as in like a real election, you know, like they choose the staff members in different positions. Senators run independently, and what you need to do is you need to get like 50 signatures saying that your peers believe that you should be on the ballot. And then everyone that's a student has access to choose who they want to be their senators. So all of the names will be on a ballot, and whoever, like the 25 students that get the most votes are senators. Not every year is there 25 people running. So sometimes I think you still have to hit a certain percentage though. So I don't think even if there's like only 20 people running that all 20 get it guaranteed. I think they still have to get a certain percentage of votes. But as long as you have that, whatever threshold they have, then you get to be a part of the Senate. Once you're on the Senate, there are committees that everyone is going to be placed on. So I was a part of the Budget and Finance Committee. So I helped give money to student organizations when they were requesting funds. Student government is very different in college than it is in high school. I was also in student government in high school, not that that matters at all, but like, you know, when I was in high school, I was planning like Winterfest, homecoming. I was doing like school spirit events. In college, it's about policies and genuinely trying to make a difference in making students' lives better through like work and partnerships. So, you know, maybe you think we should have more food trucks on campus, then like that can be an initiative that you can try to start. Or maybe you are really passionate about like environmental safety and you know, making, you know, more renewable energy from our campus, or how our like relationship with DTE looks like, and you want to have some kind of in with that. That's something that you could do. Or even smaller stuff. Maybe you want to make changes to dining on campus and you want to, you know, there's a committee for that. So there's just a lot of different things that they're doing that are focused around like policy making. So that's kind of the overall arching aspect of student government. You have to run. Most people start as a senator before going to vice president or president, although everyone's a little bit different though. So that's that. Is there a way to sit in a live class before we make a final decision? So I'm assuming the final decision of being like, where do we want to go to school? So through the Office of Admissions, we don't really have like a sitting in on a class type of program or event. You are more than welcome to, though, like get in contact with a faculty member that teaches a course that you think is interesting and reaching out to them and asking if you can shadow a course. So like if you're like, I want to be an art major and maybe my concentration is going to be within graphic design, and you want to go through the graphic design faculty and email one of them and just say, hey, could I sit in on one of your graphic design courses in a few weeks? I mean, you are more than welcome to do that. We just don't really have a way that's set up through our office to focus on that. All right. How do I know if the admissions office has reviewed my Fafsa? So if we've received your Fafsa, what we're going to do is we are going to create you a financial aid package and send it out to you. But it might take a minute for us to send you that information, or you might be in a queue and you're just not receiving it yet, in which case, go ahead and email me. I will check on your account to see if your financial aid has been received or if it's been generated and it's on its way. So I will go ahead and put my email in there. Please feel free to just say like, hey, I was on the Fall in Love with Emu panel and I want to know about my financial aid. More than happy to help you there. How does the Honors College work? Who would like to talk about the Honors College? Any takers? I can't, yeah, who's in the Honors College? I'm sorry, I just can't remember. I just don't remember who's in what right now.
I can start with it. I can try.
Okay, sounds good. I can also talk about it too, but I feel like I'm like hoarding all the time.
Connor just knows every single answer because he's done the most. But the Honors College is a great opportunity here. I started in it my freshman year. One of the cool benefits to it is that you do have that option to live in the Honors Residence Hall. So I actually took that opportunity my first year, and I got to have a bunch of different roommates and suite mates that were in a lot of my classes because they were also honor students. So we found ourselves not only hanging out, you know, back at home, but also when we went to different classes, we found ourselves overlapping there. But that was a different opportunity for me. And a good thing about the Honors College is that it's not really harder classes. I know that a lot of people get freaked out by the idea of honors. They think it's going to be super, super challenging. A lot of it is just taught in a different way. So a lot of them are more discussion based or focus more on the student-led aspect, less of the teacher-led aspect. So what that means is you're not necessarily going to have lecture after lecture or, you know, big exams all the time. A lot of it was more of like research papers or things that made me kind of work as a student. And I liked that opportunity a lot when I took a lot of different honors courses because it allowed me to kind of challenge myself, but also I was with like-minded people and I got to see different people in a whole bunch of different programs. And I thought they were far smarter than me, but they were just in my classes with me as honor students. And that was a really great opportunity to have those connections.
Excellent. Thank you, Ashley. We've got a question in the chat about what does living in Best Hall look like, which is kind of tied into the like Honors College Residence Hall. So I lived in Best Hall. It's a very nice residence hall because it is part of the like Honors College well, it always has been, but even more so for this upcoming year, because it's the only honors residence option. So it's suite style, which is pretty common on our campus. So it's not going to look any different than like Phelps Cellars in that regard. It's, I would say, relatively like modern or renovated, like it's at least, you know, relatively newer. The programming is going to be geared towards like honors college stuff. Everyone knows that the students are going to be stressed out during final exam periods. So there will be a lot of like relaxation focused programs and things like that. I loved living in Best. I had a very good experience there. I only lived there for 1 year, mind you, but Best isn't like entirely different from any of the other residence halls that are suite style though. I would say in general, living on campus is going to bring about the same qualities. And what we find is that students that live on campus have better GPAs, report a higher satisfaction with their experience on campus, and are going to be making friends and having those kind of engagements a lot faster. We have a question, when can we join sports? So I'm kind of assuming you might be asking about like intramurals or club sports, in which case you could join them at the start of the school year. You know, you're gonna have lots of opportunities to join clubs and organizations at the start of each semester, whether that's by just handing out your email address or going to the Rec IM and seeing what's available for you to sign up for. If you are referring to like our Division I sports, that is a process that involves a lot of other people that aren't us, namely coaches and athletic staff. And the recruitment process normally starts like freshman, sophomore year of high school. Of course, there are students that walk on or, you know, hear about a different sport, you know, their senior year of high school. But that is a lot. Like if it's a Division I sport, it's going to be before you come to campus that you're having most of these conversations. If it's a club or like a intramural, it's just something that you can do like your first week if you want to be a part of it for that semester. How would the week before classes look for new students? That is a phenomenal question. And that I mentioned earlier with the Emu Enrollment Form, it registers you for Emu Connect. Emu Connect is like your first few days while you're on campus. And although for when these students joined Eastern's campus, I think it would have been under a different name. Do you want to talk about what like our first few days on campus look like?
Can jump in. So I loved orientation. It was exactly what I needed it to be as a first year student. I lived in Putnam Residence Hall, which was a part of our first year center. So I lived in a hall that was full of freshmen. My whole floor was all first year students, and we attended everything together. The first day we made a group chat and we were like, okay, we're all gonna stick together through this because we don't know anybody, we don't know anything, and we're just gonna figure it out all together. So we would attend all of the orientation events through that. It might look a little bit different now, but there are many opportunities to meet students, to get involved with student organizations. There's typically like a club fair. The job fair happens that first week too, normally. And there are many opportunities to get involved in. My theater troupe Close Up typically performs during orientation, which is a whole lot of fun. And yeah, there's many different things to get involved in. I highly recommend to attend all of the orientation events. I met a lot of people that first week that I'm still friends with, which is wild to say 4 years later. So I highly recommend just get involved, go to everything that you can, and you'll meet people and it'll be so much fun. So I'm glad I went to everything, literally everything.
I agree with Katie. It's a great opportunity to kind of find really everything on campus. I spent a lot of my first couple of weeks kind of wandering around. I especially got like different people together on my floor and said like, who wants to go wander around campus and try to figure out where we're at. Part of that led me to be a tour guide because now I always need to know where I'm at. But a lot of it was honestly, I had the map of campus pulled up on my phone. So I would look at the name of a building and be like, okay, where is that on the map to find where I am right now because I'm lost. So definitely just kind of wander around and take people with you, take people to go get food with you. get yourself outside of your room. That's kind of my best advice for you that first week, especially. Go to those events if you feel up to them. Again, go to the dining halls, try all the different kinds of foods on campus. Go find where your classes are before your first day of classes. My very first college class, I went to the wrong classroom, sat there for half an hour in the wrong class, and then realized that that was not my class. Found the right one, and the teacher was like, "You are the third one today. You must be a freshman." So definitely kind of feel around the campus for yourself so that you don't, get lost like me. But also, you're new to the school and they understand that. So it can be a really challenging time at first when you're trying to literally find your place on campus, but also figuratively find out your group on campus or what things you want to get involved in. So it's a great opportunity for sure, that first few welcoming weeks.
I'd also like to add in, if you choose to live in a living learning community, your first couple of days could look a little different from every other freshman. So I personally chose to. I was part of the Brotherhood Sisterhood program. And sometimes the living learning communities, you can come on campus probably a week earlier than everybody else and just have like your own sort of orientation. So I participated in orientation. Mine was virtual though because of COVID. But this year they got to experience it in person because I'm already got to watch them. It was really fun. So it could look different in that way, but also there's an event like almost every night the first week of school outside near the lake house. Like it's just so many things to do during the first couple of weeks of school. So I encourage you all to participate in them.
We just got a message in the chat saying that a link that I sent in didn't work. I will go ahead and resend that. And then we have a question about if there's any major deadlines coming up for anything, housing or classes. So with the Emu Enrollment Form, there isn't a deadline that you need to worry about right now. In terms of committing, the sooner that you commit, the more access that you have to different aspects like choosing a SOAR date. One thing that is really important though is that housing application. So that opens up on April 4th. I don't know how long that initial run is going to last. Like when they're saying their initial deadline is, normally they like have a deadline in June and then take a 2-week break and then just to sort everything out and then see if there's, any extra spots left over or, any extra rooms. So if you're interested in living on campus, April 4th is an important date to keep in mind in terms of getting that application started. Let's see. I know you have to move rooms every year, but if you choose to live on a campus apartment junior, senior year, do we have to move every year as well? Yeah, I'm pretty sure you do. I never lived in like Brown Munson, like one of the apartments on campus. I think you could reserve the same room for the year afterward, but I do think you'd still have to move out unless you're paying for the summer. Anyone else know?
You definitely, I think you can stay over the summer. I think you just have to sign up to stay over the summer in like Westview, Cornell, the Village, Brown Munson.
Perfect. Thank you, Trinity. What happens during orientation day? So we kind of use orientation to reference like a broad set of different things that you need to do before coming to school. So I'll just kind of answer in a few different ways. So as part of the orientation process, you have SOAR, which is, like I said, Student Orientation Advising Registration. And it is a one-day event where you come onto campus, you meet with your college, you meet with the advisors from that college, and they help you pick your classes and you register for classes. It's an event that normally takes like 3 to 4 hours. Then there's other aspects of orientation which you can complete online. We call those the orientation modules. And then there is Emu Connect, which we also kind of refer to as orientation, but for just simplicity's sake, Emu Connect is like your first 4 days of being an Eastern student, and it takes place at the end of August. And you will have like people showing you around, taking you to your different classes, making sure that you get acclimated to the college. They do a bunch of different team building activities. A lot of friendships are made. You go see different shows and things like that. It is a huge agenda of a lot of different things that are happening on campus. What does campus look like in a world with COVID? Who wants to talk about that?
I can talk about it a little bit since I came in when COVID started. But I would say there have been like a lot of improvements since last year, and the university has learned a lot through their different like COVID policies and protocols. So right now, I think we are still allowed to have events, like you can still meet with organizations in person. There are just a couple policies you have to follow, such as like wearing a mask when you're inside of the buildings, and things of that nature. However, I would say it's still interactive and you can still have a lot of fun with different like student organizations and have in-person classes. I would say they have improved so much and they continue to like revise their policies. I mean, we get emails about it constantly, revising policies with, new variants or if things start to die down. And I personally feel like they have done a great job really catering to the students and listening to our needs and wants, as well as taking care of everybody's safety on campus.
We got another question that popped up in the chat. Does signing up for orientation mean that you're committing to Eastern? Essentially, yes. When you complete the Emu Enrollment Form, which is the way of saying that you're coming to Eastern, you would then be signing up for orientation. So yes, those are one and the same. All right, and with that, it is 7:01. We are good to start heading off. If you have any other questions that we haven't answered though, feel free to stay with us for a moment. We'll hang on for like another 5 minutes, and we're more than happy to go over anything. But with that being said, happy Valentine's Day. Thank you so much for joining us. A huge thank you to the 3 stars of the show, Ashley, Trinity, Katie. I super appreciate all your help. And thank you to all of you. This is being recorded. I do believe that it's going to be posted, so that way you'll be able to reference it later. Not entirely 100% sure how that's working, but that should be happening. And if y'all need anything, please feel free to reach out to our office. We love being able to help students. That is literally why we do this job. So feel free to reach out to us, send me an email. We'll be more than happy to. And like I said, if you have any questions, go ahead and put those in the Q&A. Is there a mandate in place for the COVID-19 vaccine for incoming freshmen? Not for all incoming students. There is a COVID-19, like you are required to have be vaccinated if you're living on campus. There are some vaccine waivers available, but for the most part, all students are going to be vaccinated if they're living on campus. If you are not vaccinated and you're attending Eastern, you are required to do weekly COVID tests. And then, yep, that answers that. Yeah, so we have a question about safety on campus and around campus. So there's a few different things that we can kind of talk about in regards to this. So one is like resources that you have available to us. And I'll actually, I'm going to ask the students to kind of speak on that because y'all are living on campus and interact on it a little bit more than I do. But I will also say that I have just felt so safe on campus. I think it's a very comfortable place to be. I've spent a lot of time walking across campus at night, walking through Ypsilanti and back to my residence hall and going out. I feel super safe on campus, just in general, even aside from the resources that exist for us. But if anyone wants to talk about CS or any of those services, please feel free.
I guess I can talk a little bit about it. So CS is a program that we have on campus. That is also another student employment opportunity that we have on campus through our police department. So they are students, they walk in pairs at night. You'll see them, they're in bright yellow jackets. And if you're walking at night, like you have a late shift and you're getting off of work, you can call them and they will walk you back to your dorm and make sure that you get back safely. Also, we have like emergency poles, if you've ever seen them anywhere at night. So you can go up to the emergency pole and press, I think it's a button on there, and help will come to you or somebody will speak to you through the speaker. I personally think our campus is very well lit at night. Like there are lights everywhere. And so you're never really walking in the dark where you can't see anything. I think Our DPS officers are always around, and they're very friendly to stop and talk to, and most of them are very talkative on their shifts. Like they'll come in the dorm halls and just talk to you for no reason at all. So we have a lot of safety protocols. Also, their number is, it's 24/7. So, and they're right on campus as well. They're probably, so if, instead of calling 911, you can call their emergency number and it'll be quicker as well.
We got one more question about needing to claim a scholarship if it was sent through like your financial aid package. So in terms of how to actually claim loans and scholarships, you can do that through your MyEmish. So by default, we will automatically accept your Emerald or EFOS scholarship. In general, people do not turn down free money. So we just kind of automatically assume you're going to accept your Emerald or your EFOS. So that will be like when you go to your MyEmish, it will say like, here are some loans, and it will say an O next to them, and an O means offered. And then it'll list your scholarships, and the scholarships should have an A next to them. But it is just a drop-down menu. Like you could go over to your loan and you could hit accept and then type in how much of the loan you are accepting. So you just do that through your MyEmish. All right, and with that, I think it is everything. So now we're saying goodbye for real. Yes, the EFOS and Emerald are automatically accepted. So that should cover that in the chat. Have a lovely rest of your night, y'all. Have a good one. Bye.